was there for the 2001 World Series after September 11, 2001.
I was there for the 2001 World Series.
I was there at the 2001 World Series after 9/11.
I was there in 2001 in the World Series against the Arizona Diamondbacks.
I was there for the 2001 World Series, and you couldn't help but connect 9/11 with baseball.
I was there in 2001 during the World Series after 9/11 for 3 of the most exciting games that I've ever played.
Initially, like everyone else, it was concern and safety for one another and family and our country.
Well, this was a very emotional time for those of us in New York. I lost a cousin that day. Many other people lost parents, children, other relatives, good friends.
Horrible day. Tough day for the city of New York and for the whole United States, for the world.
Well, obviously it's a day I'll never forget, being in New York City at that time and just watching things unfold on a daily basis there. How scary it was for, the whole nation in general.
There wasn't a more difficult time, that I can recall than that episode.
All the thoughts we had were the same as everyone else, not only in New York, but around the country.
There was a pallor over the city. Didn't play baseball for a week.
It was a very difficult time. It was worst time in the history of the city. In some ways the greatest time because of all the heroism and all of the tremendous acts of charity that people did. But it was terribly difficult time.
I really had my doubts at the time when Mayor Giuliani was asking so much of the Yankees, participation in going down to ground zero, and they wanted us down in the Armory to be there with the families.
It was strange at the beginning because you thought, here I am doing these things for people who had just, lost parents, lost brothers, lost sisters, and it just seemed kind of like almost embarrassing, that we were going around talking about baseball.
But as we were doing that, and I saw how they were responding, the distractions that, a Bernie Williams walking in the door, would be for a family that had just lost their father, for instance.
When I saw the way kids were kind of moved and wanted to talk about baseball and how people were still involved in what was going on in our season, then I realized it was very important.
The question was, what can we say? What can we tell these people to make them feel comfortable? But it wasn't what can we say. It was just being there. Just hug them and make sure that we say sorry. Within my heart, I think that we did the right thing for those that lost their families and for the city of New York.
The team didn't really come together, in my mind, as a team until we were able to eventually and finally get back to the stadium and huddle up.
We didn't know whether we were going to come back and play baseball or not. It wasn't until we got back to Yankee Stadium that we knew we were doing the right thing. For a while there, we thought, it's a game we're playing, it's not that big of a deal, there's more important things going on.
Slowly started getting back into the games. Both the Mets and the Yankees wore caps honoring emergency workers and firemen, police officers.
The Mets wore those NYPD, FDNY, Port Authority hats, and then the Yankees borrowed them and used them also. It was great. It was a wonderful thing.
The reception we got at Yankee Stadium from the fans and the crowd reaction, how excited they were for us to be back on the field playing there.
To the player and every staff member, there was a calm silence going through that clubhouse and dugout when we initially got started. There was a strength, and the team took on a strength that it didn't quite have prior to that.
I think that as much hurt as there had been, and it was incredible hurt, that baseball gave people a chance to latch on to something else.
I think baseball did play a part. As cliche as it might sound, I think baseball did help get the heart pumping again in the city.
Baseball helped to bring New York City out of it, particularly the remarkable run the Yankees made as underdogs in each one of those series, coming back and winning against Oakland and coming back and winning against Seattle.
And as the Yankees were winning and moving forward, I think that was something that took fans away from what else was going on in their life, the horrible things that everyone had to endure.
It did surprise me that it galvanized the city quite as much. I tend to think it probably got the interest of a lot of people who weren't generally baseball fans. who all of a sudden got involved in the civic pride of what's going on.
Our players basically took on fighting not just for themselves as they do on a yearly basis. They really were fighting for something else.
Everywhere we went, we became the favorite because it happened in New York, and we had people cheering for us that never cheered for us before.
The city got behind us, and then the rest of the country got behind us. I mean, when our team went on the road, whether it's Boston or whether it's Chicago and a lot of these towns where you get a lot of venom New York way, they were supporting New York. They were sending messages through the stands and the banners that they were holding about, Boston loves New York and we're praying for you.
I think the Yankees brought that spirit of New York to the World Series.
New York was not the same till the World Series started. I think we helped out a lot during that World Series.
Everybody had their chest out and their hands over their heart, and they were tough people, just like the 50-some thousand in the stands every night.
Well, Game 3 was a tense situation for me because I've had the responsibility for keeping the city safe, and we had magged everybody coming in. We had planes going over the top of it. We were very afraid of a terrorist attack. The president insisted on throwing out the first ball. He insisted on going on the mound and throwing it from the mound.
The image of the president, George W. Bush, standing on that mound, tall and straight, and throwing a perfect strike to the Yankees' backup catcher, Todd Green, who I'm sure will never forget that day either.
Please welcome the President of the United States.
When he threw it out, it was fabulous that it was a strike. Again, these little things lift morale. It lifted morale. It was fabulous. He had the courage to go out there and do it.
It'll be a 3-2 with 2 men out. Rivera deals, hit on the ground up the middle. Jeter fields, throws to first, in time. Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
What occurred in the games in New York, anybody who was there will never forget them.
So now it's the tying run at the plate in the person of Tino Martinez, and the Diamondbacks are 1 out away from taking a 3-1 lead in this 2001 World Series.
Swung on and drilled, the deep right center, it is high, it is far, it is gone! The Bam Tino with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. He drills a game-time 2-run home run. Oh, the Bam Tino delivers big time. And the Yankees on the precipice of defeat tie the game at 3.
And Tino is greeted at home plate by Paul O'Neill. Double high five, then they hug each other, and the entire team is just mobbing Tino Martinez right around the front of the Yankee dugout. Oh my, what a moment at Yankee Stadium.
For the first time in the history of Major League Baseball, playing the World Series during the month of November.
And the 3-2 pitch. Swung on a drill to right field. Going back Sanders on the track at the wall. See ya! See ya! See ya! A home run by Derek Jeter. He pumps his fist in the air as he rounded first. He'll hit on third base. He high-fives Willie Randolph and the entire Yankee team. Mobs him at home plate as he leaps onto the dish with a 4-3 Yankee win. Oh, what a ball game! A game-winning walk-off home run by Derek Jeter. He is Mr. November.
You see Tino Martinez hit that home run in Game 4, and you think it may be the greatest moment you'll ever see in baseball in your life in a World Series, and all of a sudden the next night it happens again.
Posada is the base runner, so Brocious, of course, the tying run, with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th.
Swung on and hit in the air to deep left. That ball's high. It is far. It is gone. I don't believe it. Once again, deja vu. A 2-out, game-time 2-run home run by Scott Brocious. Probably the most unbelievable feat in World Series history. Scott Brocious ties the game with a 2-run home run. What was it Al Michaels said? Do you believe in miracles? 56,000 Yankee fans here say, yes, we do.
I mean, I almost fell off my chair the second one when Brocious did it, because you just saw it happen in Game 4, and it never happened before. People talking about it all day, and then precisely the same thing happens.
When Brocious did it again the next night, it was almost like this is kind of like a storybook.
I don't know that I've ever spent 2 nights like that at a ball game. The games were so tense. The stands were just, everybody was so involved. Everybody was so loud.
That was by far, I think, as loud as I've heard Yankee Stadium in all of my career.
I think it showed the type of ball club that we had. We'd never give up until the last out was over. And those home runs were really crucial for us.
Those home runs were impacting to all us as fans, and those who studied and loved the game, and obviously most New Yorkers.
It was just as unlikely a back-to-back night incident as you could ever remember. It may have been 3 of the most memorable days I've ever spent at a ballpark.
The way the Yankees came back, it was just amazing.
It was unheard of. It had never been done before, and quite frankly, I don't think it'll ever be done again.
And going right up to the 7th game, where we end up losing right at the end, it seemed impossible for us to basically lose those type of games.
Unfortunately, the series ended negatively for the Yankees when they went back out to Phoenix. But the stadium fans will always have those 3 games in New York.
And that's what I remember when I think about that 2001 World Series, that although the Yankees didn't win and the Diamondbacks prevailed, that the Yankees gave the people of New York a nice show. It just ended up with them not being able to get the victory.
Those games were meant to be. When I look at that World Series, it was the only World Series we lost. I don't remember the losing them because it was my last games. I remember those 3 games. Never forget it. You know, baseball is a game you play when you're young, and it's a game that you make your life when you go to the professional level. But does it affect people that are in dire straits or have gone through this unbelievable thing? And it did. And that, to me, was just another reminder of how important the New York Yankees are to New York.
It gave people a chance to see that life goes on, that no matter how bad this tragedy was, no matter how grave their loss, their father, their son, their uncle, their brother, their sister, that life does go on, and the other things in life will eventually take over. It didn't bring them out of their mourning or their sadness, but it gave them a sense that they could get out of it, looking further down the road.
I realized how important, the Yankees or a lot of these sports organizations can be.
It helped solidify some of the glue and the bonding that we all had to do around here.
It seemed like the man upstairs was really trying to take care of us and revamp New York.
It just seemed like it allowed them to take 3 hours out of their day to just kind of forget about the best they can, what's been going on the last few days and weeks. It made us work harder and want to play as best we could for the fans.
Yeah, it really helped a lot of the healing. It really helped bring the country together.
I believe that we did what we were supposed to do.
Now looking back on it, pretty dark days, obviously, but saw an unbelievable change in the way people in New York treated each other. You could see that on the streets, at the games, everything. New York had changed, and it was for the better. People became closer.
I can't thank baseball enough for it, because it really just lifted the spirits of the city.